Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There was a tiny little PTU patch that went out that's in testing at the moment, but today I mainly want to look at a dev response to Can CIG make a patch without crashes or 30Ks, and talk a bit about game instability. There was a Star Citizen Alpha 3.9.0 S patch that came out on the PTU that could be for a hotfix or groundwork for 3.9.1 or both. The test period is showing as the 13th of May, which is just today, so it looks like it's a patch that will be iterated on very quickly or get deployed ASAP. It appears to fix just some bugs. The character should no longer become invisible and unusable, players should no longer spawn without their mobiGlas attached, duplicate ships should no longer occasionally be generated, Alpha UEC should remain consistent after a character reset, and should remain consistent from session to session. They've improved long-term persistence to be more optimized and to make issues easier to investigate. So that's a lot of what the major issues with 3.9 were, aside from the 30k and disconnect issues and instability of the patch. So the testing focus of that patch is character resets, long-time persistence, Alpha UEC stability, and character state stability. And there are some known issues. Ships can end up in an unknown and irretrievable, unclaimable state. Players cannot access the private lobby in Star Marine or Arena Commander. Players are unable to change ship selection in Arena Commander modes. The multi-tool from the Prison Commissary does not come equipped with an orbit mining attachment, meaning that you can't mine in prison, which is, you know, a little annoying. If the player exits to the menu or disconnects or crashes during the loading screen into or out of prison, their loadout will not be changed. That would make for a much better 3.9 experience if they deploy that, assuming that they also solve those known issues and get stability up a couple of notches. In regard to bleeding out as well, Cloud Imperium have said on the next release there will be an audio indicator for bleeding out status. So you're not just going to randomly go, why did my character fall over and respawn? I don't know. But now you'll have a bleeding indicator, because that seems to be quite common. So that's either 3.9.1 or 3.10 for the next release. I'm not sure what it was actually referencing there. Now on to the more major topic of this video. There was a thread on Spectrum, Can CIG please make a patch without crashes or 30Ks, by user Emperor of Man. The post states that 3.9.0 is very unstable and that there's been a clear lack of how is this going to be fixed from Cloud Imperium, and then goes on to talk about instances of instability and crashes. Bearded CIG responded, to put things simply with regards to the title of your thread, here are some examples of things that could both cause crashes and disconnects that are outside of our control. This is not an exhaustive list. Crashes and disconnections can be caused by things outside our control. Crashes, faulty hardware, resource conflicts between multiple programs on a computer, not enough resources, for example not enough RAM or having too many browser tabs open while playing the game, outdated drivers, corrupted game files. For disconnections, bad network connectivity, outdated drivers, corrupted game files, running computer using a wireless connection while near a microwave that's using the same frequency as the wireless signal, or my personal favourite being that having an internet connection near copper pipes. Given the examples above, the answer is no, because there will always be things that crash the game that are outside of the control of the devs, and not all 30k issues are server crashes. However, before we release a patch, we do keep track of how frequently players are encountering disconnects and aim to get them below a certain level of frequency before releasing a patch to our players. Encountering a 30k every 5 minutes, it is much higher than the typical rate that we will see players encountering this error. So there is a chance that something that one of your friends is doing might be causing that issue, or that you're doing, I suppose, is what he means there. If you ever happen to find reproduction steps for an issue like this, please feel free to send them to us. Now, I can tell you're frustrated by the amount of issues that you and your friends are encountering. There are issues with the statistical model that we are currently using when trying to measure if something is within acceptable limits for releasing to our players. There's a common phrase that's used in both statistics and science, and that is, all models are wrong, but some are useful. The model we use is useful, but it could be better. One of the big issues with using statistical averages is that there will always be people on either extreme, where some people don't encounter server crashes much at all, and others may encounter them much more often. In addition to that, player behavior changes over time as they get familiar with new mechanics. As a build is available for longer periods of time, it's totally possible for the frequency of these issues to change along with player behavior. There are, of course, ways to refine the model we're using so it's more accurate and helps to alleviate these problems, and there is work being done for that. But, like anything with video games, solutions to the problems are rarely simple or quick. Just a weigh in bit here myself, actually. I'm very much a user, typically, that doesn't have much of a problem when it comes to crashes. Now, that actually might be down to player behavior, as the dev identifies there, because I probably, after Evocati phases and stuff, just avoid sort of things that I think might crash or cause gameplay issues, sort of more naturally, but also because I'm filming and sort of my brain just sort of like will then avoid certain things and just go, well, I won't be doing those kind of missions. But I might not share that information fully when I do a video or talk about something, so I'm going to make sure that I talk about more specific issues and crashes that I've had and note them down, I suppose, and make sure I more accurately discuss them in some of my videos. I think that's probably a good idea. Now, back to what Bearded CIG said. Now, I can't comment on everything that you listed because my job tends to be more on the server and statistics side of things, but a number of the issues that you list are things that we've already been aware of and are investigating. However, one thing I do like to point out is that oftentimes there can be multiple bugs that all have the same overall effect, or can be multiple issues that seem to be different problems that might all be caused by one underlying issue. The reason why I want to point this out is because sometimes if it feels like a particular issue is getting worse, it can be the cause there are actually multiple bugs causing what might appear to be the same thing. After we fix some of them, it's useful for us to know which ones are still happening so we can investigate things further, particularly with things like missing components. Those bugs are complex and various. So some posters did then poke Bearded CIG, saying that he was potentially blaming microwaves and faulty hardware for instability and avoiding the focus of the question. I think he was just using it as, exaggerated examples of there are a billion different problems that could cause disconnects and connection problems and crashes and things like that, and lots of them can just entirely be out of the control of devs, and that means they will still happen even if they really refine the product and have it so there's much less. But he did go on to say that in reply to people that thought he was sort of like ignoring the issue and saying, oh, it's other people's faults that they crash. He said, sorry if this came across like this. There appear to be a few responses that feel this was my intention when that wasn't what I was aiming for. I tried to include the fact that legitimate bugs are a possibility in the responses that I made, but perhaps I should have expanded on that more. I'm not blaming faulty hardware, at least that wasn't my intent. I was trying to aim my answer at the original title of the thread, asking us to release a version of the game that is free of crashes and disconnections by trying to point out that this request is an impossible endeavor. In short, there are a lot of things that can cause disconnections, and the list I gave were examples rather than an exhaustive list. Because there are so many things that can cause disconnections, it can really be difficult to identify what's causing them, but for a moment we can use the examples that you picked. People don't use microwaves all the time. If anything, they only use them in concentrated short bursts, which fits the scenario that you described perfectly. Also, depending on the wattage and power of the microwave and the location of the wireless signal and the microwave, they don't even need to be in the same house to affect each other. Using a wireless connection just adds too many possible things that can go wrong, which is why most tech support responses for a video game company will say, don't use a wireless connection to play multiplayer games if you can avoid it. Weather or other natural phenomena can cause connectivity issues as well. This is something that would also fit into the scenario you described. We saved a graph of this one day where a huge thunderstorm swept over most of the western United States because we could see sections of our concurrency get disconnected based on where in the country it was located throughout the date. Similarly, when the massive earthquake hit in Japan, the Australia players in World of Warcraft suddenly had a huge lag on the game servers they were playing on because the country to the north of them moved enough that internet traffic had to go through a different route to get to the servers. And, of course, finally, there's a chance that someone encounters more disconnection errors because they found a reproducible bug and may, in fact, be causing it themselves. Well, at the very least, if people don't believe the copper pipes part, there is an actual conversation in my Reddit history where I gave that example, and it happens to be the exact problem the person was having. I was pretty floored that example was actually relevant more than once in my life. I really love dev responses. I really like that devs getting involved and having a chat and talking about stuff from their point of view and addressing questions from the community like that. I do think that the PTU patch that they're currently putting out is trying to address some of those 30k and instability issues as well as general bugs. But 30Ks are a blanket term for a load of different problems relating to disconnecting unexpectedly. The server can crash, the disconnection can drop, you can time out, there can be issues with the client. The 3.9.0 release was very erratic, with seemingly some players getting constant errors and disconnects, which are really annoying when you just disconnect and you can't reconnect properly. If you can, sometimes you can just reconnect, which is great, but if you're losing your caterpillar full of epic loots and cargo, that's just devastating. And then you have some players that just have multiple gaming sessions without any issues at all. I do wish that the 3.9.0 had been a bit more stable at release, because although I haven't had many problems, lots of people have, and it is a little annoying when we have a bit more content in the game and they are trying to build towards more and more playable patches that you occasionally do get something that is overly broken at release. But hopefully a 3.9.1 patch will solve stuff. We may be getting a hotfix in the next couple of days. We may be getting a 3.9.1 patch in the next couple of weeks or so. I'm interested to know your thoughts. How is 3.9.0 been for you if you've been playing it? Are you constantly getting disconnected, or have you had no troubles at all? Did your Alpha UEC and your sort of persistent items and vehicles and stuff get transported across, or are you unable to actually play the game because of all the disconnects and because you have no ships or all of that sort of stuff? I'd love to know your experiences of that 3.9 branch as it is, and whether they be good or bad, in the comments below. Every month we have a giveaway. For May, we're giving away a Star Citizen game package with Arrow Light Fighter. All you've got to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during the month. More details below. I am a shill for a couple of companies, NordVPN and NordPass. If you are looking for a VPN or a password management system, I recommend you check them out. They've got many benefits over free services, and as I'm pretty security conscious, I love those kind of services. Also, there's Shadow. If you are thinking about getting a new gaming rig or upgrading your gaming PC for Star Citizen or whatever, then consider Shadow instead. It is an internet cloud-based subscription service like Stadia, like GeForce Now, but this one gives you access to a full Windows 10 environment which is fully customizable, and that is significantly better in my opinion, allowing you to do a lot more with it. Check out the links below for them, or use the code BoredGamer for discount. Also, if you wish to support the channel further, there is Patreon, there's the YouTube join member button down below. That really helps. This is a community supported channel, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the support that I get. If you want to share these videos, if you want to comment, give feedback, whatever, that is also hugely appreciated. Thanks very much for watching, guys. You take care, and I'll see you in the verse.